Hello, welcome back to another Parent Connect Livestream. I'm Brian Tonito. I'm the Dean of Enrollment for the Word of Life Bible Institute, and I'm so excited that you're here. Tonight is going to be a great night where we talk briefly about understanding the admissions process. And so this is going to be an interesting session. Most of the time when I get to talk to parents or students, I get to do a mix of inspiration and information, but tonight we're going to be purely focused on information and understanding what does the admissions process look like here at the Word of Life Bible Institute. So we're going to do about 30 minutes together talking through the process, meaning the admissions process, the application process, what does it look like as well for an international student, and understanding the enrollment timeline, what's happening all year and where does it fit in for you. And then we're going to do a short parent question and answer session at the end. So all throughout this video, make sure that you put your questions in the chat. I'm going to have one of my staff members, Julia Oliveira, join me at the end, and we're going to answer all of your questions regarding the admissions process. One thing I do want to note tonight, I'm going to talk briefly about financial aid, but next month is where we're going to take a deep dive into financial aid. So if you've got a ton of questions about financial aid, I'm more than happy to answer them, but do know we have a full session coming on just financial aid next month. So with that being said, we're going to hop right into understanding the admissions process, and we're going to put some slides up while I talk. The first one should be coming up now, and it should just say an application process. That should be the first slide we've got up. And what I want to talk to you guys about is what does it mean to apply and how does it work for you and your student. So the very first thing any college has you do is fill out an application, and we are no different. So if you go to wol.is/apply or wol.is/apply, you'll be able to create a new account and log in and submit an application. And this application has just your general information, where are you from, who are you, things about your church, your high school, maybe college education up to this point, some basic health information, things that are very typical in an application. You're going to fill out all those fields, and at the end, you're going to submit. So when you submit the application, there is a fee, or if you reach out to us, the admissions office does have a way for us to make that free. But you're going to submit the application, and then we're going to look for 2 pieces of information from you as a part of the application process after you have submitted your application. Those 2 pieces are your high school transcripts and 3 references. So we're looking for transcripts right now up through junior year. So we recognize that your senior probably hasn't finished high school yet, and that's okay. What we're looking for is your transcripts up through junior year that can prove where you're at as of today, and 3 references. And I'm going to talk about what type of references we're looking for later on in the admissions requirements. Then, after your application has been submitted, we've received your transcript, we've received your references, it's going to be reviewed and look at the admissions requirements if you've met them, which we will talk about next. But hopefully, everything is correct. You've met the admissions requirements, and you've been admitted. So that means you're going to get called from one of our admissions advisors. You're going to get a wonderful email from me and an acceptance packet coming to your door celebrating that you've been accepted to the Word of Life Bible Institute. After you've been accepted, we encourage students to pay a confirmation fee. And so the confirmation fee is a part of your school bill. It's not going to be an extra fee you pay. It's actually just one of the fees of your school bill. And so we ask students to submit their confirmation fee because it does 2 things. First is it gets them a scholarship. So we have a scholarship tied to when they submit the confirmation fee. And so we want you to do that as soon as possible. Parents, if you have a student in process now, you probably have heard about the very first confirmation scholarship deadline, which happened just this past Friday. So when you submit your confirmation fee, you get the confirmation scholarship. And then you also secure your spot in line for housing. So anyone from the date that you confirm after you, anybody that confirms after you will have their housing request looked at after your request. So that's a really fun thing. You get to secure your housing, get a scholarship, and have made a large first payment to your bill. So that's the confirmation fee. So now, as we've moved past the application, you've been accepted, you've confirmed. Now the application process begins switching more towards how are we going to make this a reality. And so we start working through financial aid. And remember, financial aid, we're going to really take a deep dive next month. But this here is just giving you the high level of what's happening. So you're going to complete the FAFSA, or the free application for federal student aid, if you are a national student. If you are an international student, the FAFSA does not apply to you. That is only for U.S. citizens. So if you are a U.S. citizen, you would complete the FAFSA application. If you would choose to not have it, you do have the right to waive the FAFSA. So either way, we need to know, as a student, as a school that submits, that awards federal funds to students, we need you to either complete it or waive it for all U.S. citizens. We also need you, every student, whether international or a U.S. citizen, needs to complete the general scholarship application. Once we have those two pieces, your general scholarship application and your FAFSA, or your waiver from the FAFSA, we put together what's called your college financing plan. And that's where we say, hey, as of this moment, here's all the scholarships you have from Word of Life. If you're eligible for federal funds, here's the federal funds that you have received. This is right now your scholarship package. And then what we'll do is, from the time you receive your package to the time you enroll, your admissions advisor, whether a U.S. citizen or internationally, they are dedicated to helping you apply to scholarships and get everything possible in order to make this a reality. And so you're going to spend the rest of the time that you get here trying to figure out your financial picture, apply for your scholarships, and then we have the very last thing you're going to do before you arrive is prepare for registration. And that means you're going to submit your housing request. You're going to submit your work history, information about yourself. You're going to submit a health form. That's really important. Each state that we have a campus, Florida and New York, has specific requirements around a higher education institution that we need to collect certain information from you around your health and vaccinations. And we also will ask you for a photo ID. And so that's preparing for registration. We're going to ask you for also your final official transcript. So remember, we took your transcripts up to junior year. We're going to ask you for specifically some more information on transcripts. Which brings me to, that's the whole application process from beginning to end, from starting your app to getting enrolled. And so now we're going to talk about what are the admissions requirements. I moved through that pretty quickly. So if you have questions, don't forget, we're going to have a Q&A section at the end, okay? Put some questions down there in the chat. We are going to talk at the end of this, but that is the general overview of the application process. So that's the application from starting to enrolling. Let's talk about, what do you need? What are the admissions requirements in order for you to be admitted to the Bible Institute? So if we just take a look at this together, this is for U.S. students and international students. So both U.S. citizens and international students need to meet this criteria. But first is your age. Applicants must be at least 17 years of age by the time of registration. So that means by the time school starts in the end of August for Florida, or the beginning of September in New York, you need to be at least 17 years of age. You need to be a high school graduate, okay? And that means you need to have graduated from a high school program or an equivalency program, such as a GED or some type of high school completion program. The most important thing there is, you'll note most schools might have a GPA requirement. We do not. The main thing is that you will have met your state standards for graduating from high school. Whether that's a GED, whether that's a homeschool curriculum, whether that's a public school, a diploma, you need to have met your state standards. If you're not sure which standards you need to meet, you can always fall back and meet the New York State requirements. And if you want to find those out, make sure you connect with your admissions advisor if you're unsure. And homeschool families, if you might not have some type of paperwork for a transcript, that's okay. We also have homeschool transcripts forms that can help you put together what you've done so far and help you form your transcript so that you can give to us. So that is something that we require. Everyone be a high school graduate. And then transcripts, which are really important, we need from all institutions. So your high school and your college. This is important, especially for high schoolers here in America who have dual enrolled or taking college courses. So we need you, if you've done both, high school and college, even if you might have been dual enrolled at the same time, we do need both copies, an official copy from high school and from your college. Now, if you're transferring, if you're going to be a transfer student, you need to have completed at least 12 credits in order to be considered a transfer student. So if you've only completed one semester of college and you did not complete 12 credits, meaning you passed the courses with at least a C or D or better to earn the credit, and you have less than 12, you will not be considered a transfer student. We will base your admittance off of your high school diploma or graduation transcript, okay? So make sure that you've done at least 12 credits if you're trying to be a transfer student. And then as a part of your application, we have two pieces of internal documents that are actually in the application when you submit. It's called the Statement of Faith and the Standard of Conduct. Word of Life is not affiliated with any specific denomination. And so if you want to know what we teach here, it's all inside the Statement of Faith. So the Statement of Faith inside the application is going to say, here's all the things that Word of Life teaches, and here's the theological positions we are going to teach from the platform. What you're doing by signing that, by saying I agree, is not necessarily that you hold every single one of those theological positions, but that you agree with them and understand that Word of Life is going to be teaching them from that standpoint while you are here. And so that's really important to know. It's also really important to know the standard of conduct. And the standard of conduct is based off of our Statement of Faith. And what we ask is that when you sign that, you are agreeing to abide by the standard of conduct while you are a student. And we will hold you to those standards while you're a student. We'll explain all of that to you. But I just want you to make sure you understand that by signing the document and submitting, you as a student, or parents, your student, is agreeing to abide by the standard of conduct that's based off of our Statement of Faith. So those are really important things inside of your application. You do have to be in agreement with them in order for us to accept you as a student. Now, we also ask for every student to give us a testimony. And what that means is that you must give evidence, or at least a testimony to us, meaning your own words, that you're indicating to us that you're a born again believer in Jesus and you have a sincere desire to study the Word of God. That's really important. We want to know if you have a relationship with Christ or not. And so we ask that of you on your application, and it's really important that you put that in there. And then lastly, you need recommendations, and they have to be 3 adult recommendations, and they have to be positive. So sometimes a student might submit a recommendation that's not positive. We will always go back and communicate with the student and try to figure out if they have other positive references or why the references did not recommend them. But you need 3 positive adult recommendations, and this is really important that you look at this. They must not be a peer in age. So if you're 17, we don't want you to ask your 17-year-old friends to fill out your reference. We want you to look for an adult in your life who's known you at least 6 months and they're not a family member. So only 3 of those. They do not have to be a pastor. So they can be a pastor, but they do not have to be a pastor. So 3 positive adult recommendations. If you've got all of those things, you've met all of our standards, we will happily send you that acceptance email, that acceptance packet in the mail. You're going to get an excited call from the admissions office. And I honestly don't think you're going to have any problem meeting that because we have a 99% accept rate, 99%. And so I don't think that you're going to have any problem meeting those. But that's what you need to know anytime we walk through the application process, getting admitted. This is what it takes to be a student at the Word of Life Bible Institute. So as we transition, I want to talk a little bit before we move away from here about what does it mean for international students, because we do have some extra documents for international students. Now, most of this is going to come after you've been admitted, okay? So because international students, you guys are coming from another country, you guys have to meet some strict standards to be able to enter the United States. And so what we'll do, this should be up here now. You guys should see a slide that says additional requirements for international students. But for international students, we require a few things. Number one, prior to acceptance. So we just talked about admissions requirements. So this is an addition for international students specifically, that if you live in a country that has a Word of Life field, some of our missionaries live in there, and they have a Word of Life director there, we could require a letter from that Word of Life director. So we don't want you to be surprised by that. It depends on the country, and so we will let you know. If you need a letter of recommendation from the director there, we will specifically let you know that. But just don't be worried about it. It's just mainly a way for you to connect with Word of Life there in that country. And then after you've been admitted, in order for international students to make it all the way through to enrollment, you've got to be able to enter the country. So here are your extra things as an international student that you need to complete. So if you take a look at this, after you've been accepted, so this is not meaning you haven't been accepted. This is, I've been accepted. Now, how do I get to the States? Here's what you're going to do. The first is a set of financial documents that we're going to work on. Okay, so you're giving us some bank statements, a financial support declaration, and a letter of sponsorship. All of these are basically showing to the U.S. Embassy that you are able to afford coming and will be able to pay while you are here. And these are documents we collect beforehand, and you use them in tandem or together with the general scholarship application. So you've applied with your general scholarship application, you've gotten all your scholarships by talking to your international admissions advisor, and they've put together this financial aid package for you, or the college financing plan, based off of these financial documents. Once we have those things, the financial documents, the general scholarship application, and we make that college financing plan, then we ask you also turn in an English proficiency test. And so if that will just pop up on the screen really quick, in English proficiency requirements, we do require all international students to be able to read and write in English. And here are some of the tests that we take. The TOEFL, the Duolingo English test, or the DET, the IBT. And so that's right there listed on top of this. This is on our website as well, international students, if you're wondering what you need to meet. And these are the thresholds for you to be able to read and write at the level we need you to in our collegiate program. Also, you'll note down there, if you are a student in one of our Word of Life SYME programs. And if you're something like Taiwan, one of our countries that has one of our larger SYME programs, we do have additional opportunity for you so that I am proficient in reading and writing in English. It's really important as we come back to additional requirements. Why? Because once we have all your college financing plan, all your financial documents, and we've proven your English proficiency with these tests, then we as an institution issue you a government document called an I-20. And the I-20, that is the document that enables you to go to the embassy in your country and apply for a visa. Most embassies will not even give you a visa appointment unless you have an I-20. So this is, you need the I-20 in order to get a visa, and you're gonna go to the embassy appointment with all of these documents: your bank statements, financial support declaration, letter of support, your college financing plan, your English proficiency, and you're gonna go and take your I-20, and that's when you go to the embassy in your country and apply for a visa. And Lord willing, everything goes well, they don't see any problems, and they award you the F1 student visa. And so you're given that visa. You're actually able to now get that visa a year in advance. So if you've gotten all these documents in, you're able to get it a year in advance, but you have to have all of these documents in order. You have to get your I-20 to get that visa. And it's not, I will tell you, it's not super easy. And you need to be in contact with our international admissions advisors, because they are experts. Both of the people on staff here who work in the international office for admissions, that's Gabby Hackett here in New York and Kinga Vickery in Florida. Not only are they our international advisors, but they have both come to the States as international students themselves, so they know the unique processes that you have to go through, and they're there to help you every step of the way. So if any of that is confusing, don't worry. We're here to help you make it as simple as possible. And then one other thing that we actually require for our international students after you've gotten your visa is we do require you to submit what's called a verified final official transcript. Oftentimes, your high school transcripts are not in English, and that's okay. I don't need them to be in English necessarily. If your school does that, that's great. But the most important thing we need is to prove that the high school program you completed in your country is equivalent to a high school education here in the States. So you're gonna submit documents to one of our partner programs, something called ECE or another transcript verification service, and they're gonna verify that you completed a high school program that's equivalent to high school here in the United States. And that's one of the last things you're gonna do. They'll work on extra documents for you, but you don't need them right at this moment as you're working on them, but they'll work on things like insurance, working on getting you set up financially here in the US, as far as maybe you want to have a social security number or something like that while you're here. They are gonna work through all that if it's necessary. So remember, the most important thing for internationals, connect with your admissions advisor. So we're gonna keep moving here through the slides, and I want to talk to you a little bit now about the application portal. Don't forget, parents, I did just talk through a lot of information, especially for international students. So if something didn't seem clear or you want some more questions answered, put them down in the chat. We are going to talk about them at the end. So I want to talk to you right now. You should be looking at a screen that has our student portal or student application portal up, and it's showing the different pieces of our application. This is what your screen will look like if your student or you have been accepted to the Word of Life Bible Institute. And so you should see on your screen on the top right-hand corner, and this is how I'll describe it, on the top right-hand corner is the logout button, just so we can have some reference for what we're talking about. And I want to walk you around some really important pieces. Okay, first is on the right-hand side, you'll notice something called Student System Credentials. Once you have been accepted as a student, that is where your student ID will be. That's a really important piece of information. And your Word of Life Microsoft account information. So your Word of Life email and password as you start. And so that is really important. Student systems credentials, because you're going to use all of that in our computer systems while you're here as a student. So it's important you know your student ID and your student email. That's all going to be in student systems credentials. Mom and dad, this is really important if you've helped your student up to this point, that your student sees that information and knows that information, okay? Underneath that is the checklist items. And this is where your advisor is going to be talking to you about, hey, we still need this piece of paperwork. Or you'll notice on here some of our post-admit options that we were talking about that we need, confirmation fee, or the FAFSA application, or the general scholarship application. This is where you can go, have I done all of this? And your admissions advisor is going to be connecting with you, mom and dad, and with your student throughout the year to try and see, hey, let's get all of these pieces done. Then if you go over to the other side, you can notice your application status. So the application status, this is where you can track, have I been accepted yet? You'll notice it'll say profile created, application started, submitted, decision. Decision will be you'll know whether you've been admitted or denied, or whether you've been put on hold. And so that's really important to track your application status. Underneath that is admissions counselor. Yours will say admissions advisor, but the admissions counselor, and this has the name of your advisor. So if you're an international student or if you are a US citizen, each of you have an advisor assigned to you, and they are your experts that are helping you through the process. And so this is where you can see their name, you can see their phone number, and their email address. So please pay attention to who your advisor is. Parents, this is very important. When you want to ask questions, this is going to be the person that we refer you to. So make sure you connect and know who your advisor is. Underneath that is called dorm housing information. Once you get your dorm assigned to you, that is where you will see your dorm. On the top right, or right in here in the middle, you'll see pay your confirmation fee. So this person hasn't confirmed yet. So when you get accepted, and parents often ask me, where do I pay my fee? It's right inside your application, right here in the middle. It says pay my confirmation fee. And so this is where you'll come as we're working through the whole application process, getting your financial aid documents done, getting all the paperwork you need to be a student. It's going to be right here in the student application portal. And again, you can /apply. So hope that kind of wets your whistle a little bit for understanding the portal, what's going on with the application process and the admissions requirements. We're going to transition And as we wrap up, this is going to be where we spend the rest of our time inside the enrollment timeline. And this is where I think I want to make sure parents and students understand about what we are talking about. So all the things I just described are something that's happening all year. And so I wanted to give you a basis for when do we do things here at Word of Life? When should parents be expecting certain information? Because sometimes parents want to know things that we haven't gotten to yet, or sometimes they're looking for billing information. Well, when do we release that? So I wanted to talk you through the enrollment timeline and when you as a parent can be expecting to hear from Word of Life on certain things. So let's take a look. And this is going to be true for every year of the Bible Institute, okay? So right now, the new enrollment cycle begins June 1st. So your senior this year, if they submitted an application in June 1, we will start reviewing applications for international students. Don't worry, you don't need to waive the FAFSA. We won't even ask you if you're going to take it because it is not available to you as an international student. But remember, you do have some other financial documents that we're going to pull together for your college financing plan. So that's October, December. Fast forward to March. So at this point, hopefully you've gotten your financial aid package or at least a start of it. And we're working on scholarships. We're working on trying to make sure you have all your ducks in a row. And in March is when one of the biggest scholarships we have on campus, it's a $3,000 scholarship called Student Leadership, or what we call a resident assistant. And we have two different types of resident assistant or student leaders. That's a dorm resident assistant or a service resident assistant. Resident assistant, or SR or RA is what we call them for short. They basically serve in two ways. One is with student life in the dorm, and one is in a service area. All the students are required to work a job on campus, and they serve in an area, whether it's the kitchen or maintenance or in admissions. And as a service RA, they work the same jobs that everyone else does, but they do work a few more hours and receive a scholarship. So that's the student leadership application, and in March is when you can apply to be a student leader. And in New York, we will actually choose those student leaders over the summer. And in Florida, you will actually be invited to a student leadership training, which does not mean you've been selected yet. So I want to be clear about that. New York does selections over the summer, and Florida will do selections once the students come to student leadership training. So that's the difference between New York and Florida. We keep going from March to May. We're still working on scholarships, working on getting everything figured out. And at the end of May is when our goal is to release housing. So that's when your housing information should start showing up inside of your application portal. And you'll be able to see your dorm mates, start working on who's buying what, who's bringing the mini fridge, and you'll be able to check that out at the end of May. It's also when we begin collecting final official transcripts. This is really important because you need your final official transcripts if you're applying for the academic scholarship. It's also, if you do not have a final official transcript and you are trying to receive federal aid, your aid will not be awarded to you until we have received your final official transcript. That's really important. Parents get a little bit confused on this. This is really important, mom and dad. We need a final official copy. What does that mean? Final official. It means that it is a copy, if they mail it to us physically, that if the school decides to mail it to us, it has not been opened. So a sealed physical copy, and that copy needs to have an ink signature or a school seal, your student's name, their graduation date, and a cumulative GPA. Okay? So it needs to be sealed if it's physical. It needs to have a ink signature or student or public school seal, private school seal, whatever it is, ink signature or seal, and it needs to have the student's name, their graduation date, and their cumulative GPA. Whether weighted or unweighted, however your school does it, that's what we need. And parents, if you're homeschooling, we can help you make sure that that document is final, official. We have an extra document for you called a homeschool. But without the final official transcript, if you are a U.S. citizen trying to get your federal aid, it will not be awarded to you until we have that document. So very important for you to get that to us. And then in the beginning of June, things start getting real. In New York, we start awarding the leadership scholarships. So you start finding out whether you've been selected for student leadership. And then the beginning of that month as well is when we start sending to you guys, parents, what your estimated statement is. It is not a bill. You're going to get it in the mail or in an email, and the estimated statement is what your current bill would look like if school were to start in June. And this is hopefully to give you encouragement and excitement as far as what scholarships you've received so far. And then what else can I do? Maybe we need to have another conversation with financial aid. Maybe you need to reach out to your admissions advisor. But the estimated statements are just to give you right now a snapshot of where your financial picture is at and give you an idea of what you'd be paying for the semester. And then as a part of that, we also start sending you what's called the student enrollment agreement from the business office. And that enrollment agreement is necessary for you to enroll, but it's you as a student saying, I understand that I have a financial responsibility to pay back my bill at Word of Life, and here's how I'm going to do it. Whether I'm going to make payments, pay all at once, or whether my bill's completely paid because of my scholarships and my federal aid, whatever it is, you're acknowledging, I know that I'm responsible, and here's how I'm going to do it. And that happens at the beginning of June is when we start collecting that information. From May to June, we have some more scholarship opportunities, which are huge for you. We're almost done, guys. You've been doing great. From May to June, we have summer ministry opportunities. And I want to note that these are not available in the States for international students. So even here as a high schooler on an F1 visa, you cannot serve in Camp Crew or do the Student Fusion trip, which are both of our summer ministry opportunities as an F1 student, because that would violate the terms of your visa because we are giving you a scholarship. So the government would view that as you getting paid to do that work. So this is only for U.S. nationals or U.S. citizens. If you come and work our camp as Camp Crew, which is life-changing and a great way to make some friends and prepare yourself for the year and be a part of some life-changing ministry, or you come and serve on a Student Fusion trip where it's a shorter commitment, but you also are going to have a life-changing opportunity to share the gospel with people all around the world at one of our fields where Word of Life is located. We're in one of 80 countries. You're going to go to one of those. And so those are our two summer opportunities. And if you do that, your summer before you attend Word of Life, you're going to get $2,500 in a scholarship. If you do it your junior year and your senior summer, you're going to get $1,500 from your junior year and $2,500 from your senior year for a total of $4,000. That's a huge opportunity. Now, international students, we do have an option for you. If there's a Word of Life camp in your country, we do also have a Camp Crew scholarship for you if you serve there. So that's something that your international advisor can connect you with and make sure that that program meets our requirements, but we do have those options for international students for summer. Now, from June to September, that's when we have an opportunity, if you are a U.S. citizen, to do what's called Federal Work Study. And this is a need-based program based on your FAFSA application. And you can apply to do Federal Work Study where you work here on campus and the federal government pays you for that work and it goes towards your school bill. That begins in June that begins in June in Florida, August here in New York, and goes until the start of school. And then the end of August, the beginning of summer, is you showing up on campus and getting ready for one of the best years of your life. And so that is the general overview of the enrollment timeline. That's a lot of information. We do a lot in a year, but I promise you we do our best to make it easy and painless as we try to make this an awesome experience for you as a parent and for your students. And so this is purely what my team does. We handle all the financial aid, all the admissions, and we would love to help you through this process. I hope you understand what we're doing. I hope this gave you a snapshot of what it's like. And this isn't the end. If you've got questions or you want to know more, we're going to do the Q&A right after this. And we also are available through our advisors to help you throughout the weeks in months coming forward. So I would love to just take a break for a second as we transition over to the Q&A. Parents, if you're watching and you haven't put questions in the chat, now is the time. We're gonna have a short slide come up, take maybe a 30-second break. And as that break starts, we're gonna have Julia Oliveira come and join me, and we're gonna answer some questions that either you've had or parents have had in the past, and helping them understand the application process, our admissions requirements, and our enrollment timeline. So thank you guys so much for listening. We're going to take a 30-second break and we will be right back. All right, everybody, welcome back. I hope you took a second to get some water, and I certainly did. I had a drink. It's been an interesting 35 minutes just helping you understand the process. I'm excited to have Julia. Julia, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
And Julia's going to just maybe give me some questions that have happened in the chat while we talk. That way, it's a little bit more of a conversation. If there's been no questions in the chat, don't worry. We also have questions that parents ask us regularly that we want to make sure you might not be brave enough to ask it, but we've had some parents and we're going to make sure we answer them. So while we're talking, if you think of a question, if you're like, wow, Brian, I wanted to know more about this, or would you clarify that? Please put it down in the chat. But Julia, why don't you start with some questions we've gotten from parents?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first one we get a lot is, when is the application deadline?
Oh, that's a good question. So there is no application deadline, actually. We are what's called a rolling admission school, which means we take applications up until the day school starts. I would tell you, if you're an international student, that we will not, you're not going to be able to get a visa appointment in that time. And I will tell you, even for U.S. citizens, it's possible to apply and get accepted. We have it happen every year where a student makes a last minute decision, but it is more difficult and better for you if you plan ahead of time.
Absolutely. Another question is, are standardized tests required as a student?
That's a good one, yes. So we do not require standardized tests. However, if you do want to get the academic scholarship, which Alex is going to talk more about in the financial aid session, we do ask for standardized test scores for the academic scholarship. And we use those in tandem with your high school GPA and your test scores on a scale as to how much you get. And the 3 tests we accept are the ACT, the SAT, and the CLT.
Great. Another one is to do with the terms. So we have our fall and spring. But is it a 9-month program? Is it longer? Anything like that?
This is the question I think parents get the most confused. Students too. We are an 11-month program. So when your student comes, if they go to Florida in the end of August, that means they're going to be graduating in June. If your student comes to New York in September, they're going to be graduating in August. And that is the completion of our whole program. The summer portion of the program is where they get the last credits. So the full 35 credits for the school year happen over the summer. And so we try to let all parents and students know up front, the summertime is a part of the program. It's not optional.
Right.
This is a part of the program. If you're signing on for Word of Life, you're signing on for the summer. And now if the program goes, like here in New York, a lot of times another college's semester, if they're transferring out, starts when we're ending, we do allow you to go to that other school. We're not going to hold you here, but you need to complete summer to complete the program. So 11 months.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Another one is there a spring start?
Yeah, we do have a spring start. We had 2 semesters. The summer we actually include summer as a part of the spring semester, but this fall starts in the end of August for Florida, beginning of September for New York, and then both spring semesters start in January. So we'll take a Christmas break. Florida starts about a week earlier than New York, but beginning of January, the first half of January is when spring semester begins and when we want them to be here.
Great. Another is, like, when can I apply for scholarships? When should I start? I know you talked in the timeline. Is it ever too soon to start on that?
You mean for scholarships?
Yeah, scholarships.
It's never too soon. You can do as soon as you do your application, you can do your general scholarship application. You don't have to wait to be admitted to do that. As soon as the scholarship application is available and open, you can fill it out. You can start looking at our scholarships, wordoflife.edu//scholarships. You can look at all the things we do. It's never too early to start talking to your admissions advisor. And again, next month we're going to go in detail, but it's never too early to do some of that stuff.
Another question we get often is, are there other ways to pay for the confirmation fee? I know you showed us on the student portal, it's right there. But let's say, can I do it in another mode? Can I send a check in? Can I pay over the phone? What's the best way to do that?
That is an interesting question. So we do allow parents and students to pay the confirmation fee in a couple of ways. So you can always, a check is always acceptable.
Slower,
It's a little slower in today's world, but you can always write a check. The check needs to be made out to Word of Life Bible Institute. So don't write it to the financial aid office. Don't write it to Julia Oliveira, even though I'm sure she would love it. But you're going to make the check out to Word of Life Bible Institute. It's the fee. I don't know if I said it. It's $250. So you write the check, $250 on behalf of your student for confirmation, and we'll assign it to their student account. There's also an online payments program called bipayments.wool.org. And so BI standing for Bible Institute. So Bible Institute or bipayments.wool.org. And you can select what country you're paying from, like what campus you're looking at. And so you're able to select there and make the confirmation payment through that. It's typical debit credit interaction online through bipayments.wool.org.
Another question is, if I'm on the fence, if I'm a student trying to apply, and if I'm on the fence a little bit about confirming, maybe I've applied to multiple places, not 100% sure, is there any value to confirming, even if maybe I'm not 100% sure I'm going to attend in the fall?
Yes, that is a huge question. The opportunity to confirm is huge. About 30 years ago, when you were confirming, you only confirmed at one spot.
Right.
The average student today confirms to 3 or 4 colleges. And so what we want you to know is your confirmation fee is refundable up until May 1st. And so this is something that I'd encourage you, if we're in the top considerations for your schools, go ahead and submit your confirmation fee. There's no harm. You're going to get it back by May 1st if you end up not coming. But if you don't do it, you lose out on a large scholarship. We only have 3 different amounts this year. We just passed our first one. That was $1,000. So they paid $250, they got $1,000, and it's like they made a $1,250 payment to their bill. The next scholarship goes down by $500, and the deadline is in February. And then after that, the scholarship goes from $500 to $250. So it's really important that you get your scholarship. It's one of the easiest scholarships you're going to do. Every student pays the $250 because it's a part of their school bill. So why not get it done if it's a part of, if you're considering it.
Well, I think that's all the questions I had.
Great.
I don't know if there's anything else you have.
I would say if there's nothing else, if nobody else has any questions in the chat, we do want to let you know, parents, we're going to post a survey link in the chat for you. So parents, if you've stopped by, we want to know. We really do want to be able to answer your questions, know who joined us. So check out the survey link. It's a short, just a couple questions about who you are, where you are, so we can make sure that we connect with you and follow up with you. So submit that survey. It should be coming up anytime now in the chat. Below me, the Parent Connect survey. And we just want to say thank you for joining us. That was a lot of information. And while this might not be as inspirational as most of our normal sessions, the details are important. And I'll let you know, as a parent, we want you to know that we have the details covered. We want you to be confident that we know what we're doing, and we're here to help you and help your student feel the same. That you can have confidence in sending your son or daughter to the Word of Life Bible Institute, that we're taking care of all the details so that they can have an incredible year of growing their faith in Christ. So thank you guys for joining us. We have Parent Connect Livestream next month with Alex Hackett and myself as we talk about financial aid. Thank you so much, parents, and we'll see you next month.